You check your bank account, and somehow it's already empty again. That's just not fair. You did everything right this month, or at least that's what you thought you did. No big purchases, no wild nights out, nothing crazy, and yet the money still disappeared. And honestly, the worst part isn't the empty account. It's that you're not even surprised, because somewhere deep down, you already expected this. You've accepted it as just normal life. And that right there is the real problem. And most people never figure it out. My name is Ryan, and I spend way too much time thinking about financial psychology. If you're someone who works hard but still can't seem to get ahead, listen up. Make sure to hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if this helps. The real problem with your finances probably isn't your income or even your spending habits. It's actually the way you think about money before you spend or save any dollar. There's a name for this. Researchers call it a scarcity mindset, and it's costing you. Not just money, either. It quietly steals your focus, your decisions, and your mental bandwidth. Harvard researchers studied this and found something shocking about how financial stress affects the brain. Money stress actually reduces your effective IQ by about 13 points in real tested conditions. 13 points. That's not nothing. That is the difference between smart and costly daily decisions. So you're not bad with money. You're stuck in a mental fog from financial stress. And that fog doesn't just clear by getting a raise or paying off a card. The fog actually lives inside your mind, and that's exactly where we have to start. Now you might be thinking, okay, Ryan, I simply don't earn enough money right now. That might actually be true, but here's what nobody ever tells you about that belief. Your income is partly determined by how much money you believe you're allowed to have. I know that sounds wild, and I know you might be rolling your eyes now, because yes, it sounds like motivational poster nonsense, but the data actually backs this up. Here's what most people don't realize. The way you were raised to think about money is still running quietly in the background every single day. Think about all the things you heard growing up about money. Phrases like, "we can't afford that," and "rich people are just greedy" sound familiar? Those phrases weren't just parenting. They were programs being deeply installed into the financial operating system of your developing brain, and they're still running today. And here's the scary part. You can't just logic your way out of a belief that was installed before you even understood what money was. So reading a budgeting book or following a savings plan feels motivating for maybe a week or two, and then something quietly pulls you back. That pull is your financial identity. It's not discipline or willpower that's failing you. It's something far deeper, and very few people ever name it. Here's what I mean. Psychologists have found that people tend to earn and keep roughly the amount of money they inwardly feel they actually deserve. It's called an income thermostat. Like a real thermostat regulates the temperature in a room, your internal beliefs regulate exactly how much money you keep. So when you get a bonus, an unexpected windfall, or any extra income at all, watch closely. It mysteriously disappears within just a few weeks. Your thermostat kicks in, a car breaks down, a bill shows up out of nowhere, or you just spend more because now you have money. Either way, you end up right back where you started. And the wild part? This happens to people at every single income level out there. Studies show that roughly 70% of lottery winners end up broke within 5 years of receiving their jackpot. Not some winners, most of them. That is not bad luck. It's the financial thermostat resetting back to normal. Their minds had never been calibrated to hold or protect real wealth. Look, I want you to think about someone you know who came into money and then quietly lost it all within a year or two. Maybe it was a relative, maybe a friend. And here's what probably happened. They didn't lose the money. They spent their way back to familiar. The brain craves what it knows, even when what it knows is struggle, even when what it knows is barely getting by every single month. This is where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just about lottery winners. This pattern shows up in ordinary people's financial decisions every day. Think about the last time you saved $500. Did you keep building, or did something come along and wipe it out almost immediately? That is the thermostat at work. You hit a number that felt unfamiliar, and something inside pulled you right back to where life felt safe. Safe is powerful. The brain doesn't optimize for wealth. It optimizes for survival, and survival means staying where things feel known and predictable to it. That's why advice like just spend less completely misses the point. You're not failing because you're lazy. Your brain is working against your financial growth. So what do you actually do? How do you reset a thermostat you didn't even know you had? Well, that's exactly where things get complicated. Most financial gurus just skip this. They hand you a budget, tell you to save more, and wonder why you always give up so fast. Here's what they never teach you. Your behavior follows your identity, not your intentions. You will always spend like who you believe you actually are. If deep down you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, you'll unconsciously make choices that keep confirming that exact same story every time. The frightening part is you never even notice it's happening. Your mind quietly protects an old version of you built long before you were ready. And that old version of you was built to survive, not to grow. So first, you have to truly understand what that actually costs you. Here's a concrete number to consider. If you're 30 years old and earning $50,000 a year, this pattern is already costing you enormously. Studies suggest that mindset-driven financial decisions cost the average person well over $300,000 across their entire working lifetime without ever realizing it. Not from bad luck, not from low income, just from quietly thinking every single day like someone who was never meant to build real wealth. $300,000 is not abstract. That's the real difference between retiring comfortably and working until your body simply tells you it can't anymore. So the real question isn't just how do I save more? It's actually why do I keep quietly destroying my own financial progress over time? And here's the answer most people never hear. You're not destroying your progress on purpose. You're protecting yourself from something that just feels deeply unsafe. Having money can feel dangerous when you grew up without it. It attracts attention. It invites criticism. It makes you feel like someone entirely different. And on some deeper level, your brain decides it's much safer to stay broke than to deal with all of those uncomfortable, unfamiliar social consequences. Now, you might be thinking this is getting too psychological and you just want real practical steps. I completely get that. Here's the thing though. The practical steps don't stick unless you fix the foundation first. You cannot build financial stability on a broken mental framework and expect lasting results. Think about this. If you've ever tried following a strict budget and completely quit within 2 weeks, that honestly wasn't a discipline problem at all. It was an identity problem. The budget asked you to behave like a wealthy, disciplined person, but your identity said that person simply isn't you. So your brain found every excuse to return to what felt normal: impulse spending, avoidance, and that "I'll start fresh next month" cycle. Sound familiar? Here's what I want you to understand. That cycle is not a character flaw. It's a predictable neurological response to a deeply misaligned financial identity. And because it's neurological, it responds to a specific kind of rewiring. Not motivation, not willpower, but consistent repetition of new financial behaviors over time. Neuroscientists call this process neuroplasticity. Your brain can literally form new pathways when you repeatedly expose it to different financial habits and decisions over weeks. But here's the catch. New pathways are fragile at first. They need reinforcement before your old habits find a way to quietly swallow them whole. This is why consistency matters far more than intensity. One massive savings push followed by burnout will never build the financial identity you're truly seeking. Small wins wired together over time are exponentially more powerful than one big effort that leaves you exhausted and right back where you originally started. Here's the actual framework. There are 3 steps to resetting your financial thermostat, and most people only ever reach the first one before stopping completely. Step 1 is awareness. You have to identify the specific beliefs and stories about money you've been quietly carrying since you were a young child. Grab a piece of paper and write every phrase about money you remember hearing as a kid. Don't filter anything. Just write it all down. Common ones include, "Money doesn't grow on trees," "We're not made of money," and "People like us don't get rich." Recognize any of those phrases? Once you see them written out, you can start asking whether they're actually true or whether they're just someone else's fear passed down to you. Most of those beliefs were formed before age 10. You were a child with no ability to evaluate the financial information being handed to you. So holding yourself accountable to those old standards now, as a grown adult with real options and access to information, is genuinely unfair to yourself. Step 2 is interruption. Every time you catch yourself thinking broke, meaning thinking in limitation, you have to consciously pause and challenge that thought immediately. When you catch yourself saying you can't afford something, stop and ask, how could I afford this? That single shift changes your thinking pattern entirely. The first question closes your mind. The second opens it. That's not motivational fluff. Research shows different questions genuinely activate different parts of your brain. One triggers a threat response. The other triggers creative problem solving. The mindset you bring to every money decision literally determines the financial outcome you get. Step 3 is replacement. You can't just remove an old belief. You have to replace it with a new one your brain can genuinely accept. Here's the trick. Your brain won't accept a replacement belief that feels completely untrue. It rejects big leaps. It needs small, believable, incremental steps forward. So don't jump from "I'll always be broke" straight to "I'm a millionaire." That gap is too wide. Your brain will reject it almost instantly. Instead, use bridge beliefs. Something like, "I am learning to manage money better," or simply, "I am capable of making smarter financial choices every day." Small, yes, but these statements feel genuinely believable, and when your brain believes something, it starts naturally and automatically filtering for evidence that it's true. This is called the reticular activating system. It's a filter in your brain that highlights information that matches what you already believe to be real. Change the belief and the filter shifts too. Suddenly you start noticing financial opportunities that were always there but completely invisible to you before now. It's the reason two people can live in the same neighborhood, earn the same income, and have completely different financial lives just 5 years later. One sees the world through abundance, the other through scarcity. Every decision they make is quietly filtered through that lens without them ever realizing it. Now let's talk numbers because I want this to feel real. Say you earn $60,000 a year and currently save nothing at all. $200 a month placed in a basic index fund, started today, quietly compounds over 30 years into more than $200,000. That's not financial genius. That's just time and consistency. But most people never start because they're stuck in the thinking that they don't have enough. That thinking keeps them out of the market for years. And every year they delay, it costs thousands in compounded returns they will never recover. So broke thinking isn't just affecting your mood. It's directly affecting your net worth, your retirement timeline, and the overall quality of your entire life. And the encouraging part, the part I really want you to hold on to, is that this is all completely changeable. All of it. Right now. You don't need more income to start. You need to shift one single belief about money, then another, then another. That is how this works. Your financial identity will evolve in direct proportion to the work you're willing to do inside your own mind, not just inside your bank account. The money always follows the mindset, and now you finally understand why you've been thinking broke and exactly what you need to do about it. Start today. One new belief, one new question, one small action. The version of you that builds real wealth is waiting on the other side.